afternoon. I'll call to order the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for Monday, August the 9th, 2021. This will be a regular meeting with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I'll call the roll, Ms. Rowland.
Yes, Mayor Noes.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Here.
Alderperson Almacher.
Here.
Barry. Here. Blackwell.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
7 present.
I'd ask Reverend McGee to please do the invocation and then lead us in the pledge to allegiance.
Great Father, we thank you for this absolutely gorgeous day, and we thank you, Lord, for your providence, your sovereignty. We thank you for your protection and your provision. We acknowledge our complete dependence upon you. We are nothing without you. We would have nothing without you, and so we totally yield and wave the white flag, surrendering unto you and your will and your power. Thank you, Lord, for our fair country. Thank you for our wonderful city. Thank you for our leadership and these that are assembled in this room who guide our city in so many different facets and so many different areas. We pray for your protection and your wisdom to be upon them. Help them to make wise decisions. Help them to listen and to respond in the appropriate way. We pray for your blessings to fall upon them as well as all of these folks who live in Tullahoma and in this great land that we call America. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for your son, Jesus. We pray this in his name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend McGee. This evening we have one public hearing, a public hearing on a request to rezone 2000 South Anderson Street from General Commercial District C2 to Neighborhood Commercial District C3. Is there anyone who would like to address this public hearing? Hearing none, we'll move on to proclamations and special presentations. And tonight we have no proclamations or awards, but we will allow that time for the presentation on the Rock Creek watershed-based plan from Jim Patterson of Scott James Engineering. Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Board.
And Mr. Taylor.
Jim Patterson.
Home is
Most
yours.
everybody knows Jim. I have tasked him with this watershed plan, and he's going to just put on a little presentation here for you. So,
If I could, I know that you don't have time tonight to present your entire plan, so if you could just give us a synopsis enough that we've got an understanding, try to limit it to about 5 minutes if you can. If it takes a little longer than that, okay, but try to cover it in that.
All right, thank you. And I think we can probably do that. And the way I'm going to accomplish that is to just briefly talk about what this plan is and what this plan is not. And what this plan is, first and foremost, it is a prerequisite for the Department of Agriculture to be able to apply for a 319 grant from the department. You have to have a watershed-based plan in their files so they can say that you do have one before they will even consider a grant application. The city has not applied for a grant, but there has been some talk and interest in possibly applying for a grant. So Butch asked me about a year ago to go ahead and start putting this plan together, and he and I both worked on this. And what this plan is it's an outline of your watershed. You know, we're talking about the Rock Creek watershed here, and it's an outline that shows the characteristics of that watershed, and it shows the impairments within that watershed as dictated by TDEC and their stipulations for what makes it impaired. The plan talks about the types of work that can be done to help with those impairments, things that can be done to improve the watershed as a whole. It includes areas inside the city and areas outside the city. the plan is somewhat generic by design. The reason for that is this is a living document, and it is meant to be modified, amended often. That can be as you perform some of the work in this plan, as you do additional studies within the watershed and find additional information. It's also a matter of finding additional partners. The city of Tullahoma has initiated the development of this plan, but it's very unlikely that the city of Tullahoma will ever be able to implement the entirety of this plan without other partners involved. And that may be partners within the city limits, certainly will be partners outside the city. It does cover, the watershed as a whole. So, you're going to implement this plan, you're going to be looking, or somebody's going to be looking for other partners that could help with areas that you really don't have jurisdiction over. So, that's kind of a quick synopsis of what the plan is. What the plan is not is a be-all, end-all. If you were to perform the work that's outlined in this plan, you're not done. This is not going to be, okay, we did the things that are outlined in this plan. Rock Creek, the watershed should be fixed. Rock Creek should be off the impaired list. There's going to be additional work added to this as time goes on. Probably more importantly, what this is not is a commitment on your part. You're not committing the city of Tullahoma to any of the dollars that are outlined in this plan. You're not committing the city of Tullahoma to any of the projects, the specific type of work that's outlined in this plan. And the plan really doesn't lay out specific projects. It's generic in that sense, as it lays out types of work that have been identified that could certainly be done within the Rock Creek watershed, and that's similar to other watersheds of this type. Some of it, Butch and I have locations in mind as to, hey, this is where some of this type work could be done. Other is much more generic than that, in that, in a watershed of this type, this size, there is certainly some of this out there. And some of these things would be up to some of those other partners, to identify the specific locations and, even to try to get a project of some sort going. This is not all project-based. This plan includes project-type work. It also includes education-type activities. It also includes regulatory-type activities. You guys have more say-so in some of that than you do some of the other. So, and that's where additional partners, come into play. So, what you're being asked to do tonight is to adopt this plan as a starting point, as a show of support for the plan, so that if the city does decide at some point in the future to pursue a 319 grant and actually submit an application for a 319 grant, you have met this requirement, that prerequisite. You have shown your support for the plan. You would certainly have to approve a specific grant application if and when that time ever came. This doesn't give any kind of a blanket authority, for anybody within the city to apply for a grant on your behalf, because you've supported it or anything of that nature. So, with that, I'm going to open it up to questions from you guys. Any questions that you may have about the plan?
I think the most important thing that you said is, if we are going to apply for a grant, this is the starting point. If we adopt this, if we approve this tonight, then we can submit And that's when the rubber meets the road, is when we start applying for a grant. Then we have to get specific as to what the projects are.
Absolutely. Any grant application would have to come back before you guys. It would have specific dollar amounts laid out. It would be specific as to what work is going to be done for those dollar amounts that are laid out. This is just meeting that prerequisite that the Department of Agriculture would not even accept a grant application unless this is included with it or they already have it on file. And that can be done either way.
Okay, we do have on our agenda for tonight, later on, a resolution to adopt this, so thank you for your input. So, Alderman Berry.
If we apply for the 319 grant, is it just enough to have the plan, or do we need to show we've had the plan and we've started making progress on some of these, and have we identified any areas in here where you might be able to come and say, hey, this is within our budget, it's within reason to do, we can go ahead and get started, or is this just a first, you need us to do this before you can look at those things? Sorry.
There's several questions in there, but this is that first step that the Department of Agriculture will require that this plan be in place before they will address any application that you might submit. The plan is not specific to any, it does not lay out any specific locations, any specific projects within the city of Tullahoma, but yes, we have gone further and there are ideas in mind, at least, for specific projects that may come before you at some point in the future. I don't know, I guess if it were to happen this year, their deadline is December. So before the end of the year, you would have an application in place. I don't know, to be honest with you, if that will happen or not. But there are a couple of projects in mind that could potentially go for a 319 grant in the relatively near.
What we can do without, where we don't need to apply for the 319. And maybe this is a question for our thing later, but I think that this is
There are
a great thing.
absolutely things that the city of Tullahoma can do that would not include grant monies, and those are the educational type activities, and a lot of that is laid out in your stormwater program. There's more that can be done above and beyond what is laid out in the stormwater program. Those are things that, as identified, could certainly be added to this plan as an amendment. Like I said, this is meant to be a living document. There are a lot of ideas that I've heard floated around in Tullahoma as things that could be certainly beneficial to Rock Creek and the watershed as a whole. This has to be done to apply for a grant. There's a lot of other things that you guys could be doing that aren't necessarily specifically included in here, but are at least generically, to some extent. I'm not sure if that answers your question or not.
And with that, I had a question as well, similar to what Alderman Berry had. One of the things I read within it, and I'm glad it's a living, breathing document, is that it looks like the rural areas, there's an opportunity for education within the rural areas, but we would probably need to partner with county, et cetera. And I didn't know how, and this is just an overarching question, how does buy-in work to get access to those people, to reach out to them? Because it sounds like that's something that could probably happen without any funding or nominal.
It certainly can, and how the city approaches that really is up to the city. I mean, it would be ideal, I guess, for you to have a person or persons, committee, whatever that may consist of, that kind of takes the responsibility for that and, kind of runs with that. I know that Alderman Dunn has reached out already to some
Awesome.
potential stakeholders, you know, outside of the city of Tullahoma and within the city of Tullahoma. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be
Great.
done without dollars. There's a lot that can be done outside of what's already outlined in this plan and can be added to this plan, certainly.
And to that point, I've definitely reached out to the University of Tennessee Ag Extension Office and the soil department there, and I mean, they're ready to go door to door with us, honestly, but I think having this document makes it not just Robin Dunn, but the entire board of the city of Marinalda, or of the city of Tullahoma is making this effort.
And I think that's an important point that she just made. As whoever is in that role reaches out to other stakeholders, other potential stakeholders, you know, I think it's important that they know that the city of Tullahoma as a whole is behind this and behind the idea of it, you know, regardless of whether, you know, you're throwing tons of money at it immediately or not, you know, I mean, it's.
And so if we want to connect people who could help y'all out, do I just email you two? Is that what I could, like, that's my question, is like, in terms of next steps, if I know that there's an organization out there that is with the state, or has somebody who has a contact with the State Department of Agriculture who I know would be
I
interested.
would say probably Alderman Dunn and
Right.
Butch. You know, I work as a consultant
Yes, that makes true.
at the city's desire, so what they ask me to do, I do, but I don't want to take anything upon myself on your behalf, so.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patterson. We appreciate your input tonight, and we'll be voting on this later on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, we open the floor for comments from citizens. Are there anyone who care to address the board? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Your names came out. Bob Bates, 501 Marbury. I'd like to start by commending the city for being proactive in this area. Specifically, Butch Taylor and Alderman Dunn. I think it's a wise move to be looking at what needs to be done to mitigate something that has gotten worse over the years. I remember when I was a kid, we used to be able to swim in Rock Creek, but that's not anything that would happen anymore. I'm not even sure the fish like it some places. But being proactive and starting this process is a very, very good thing, and I want to commend you for doing that. And I do understand that this is a living document, and that this is just the beginning of the process for applying for the 319 grant. You know, we should try and avail ourselves of any potential monies out there to assist us in doing what's right for Rock Creek and our community environmentally. And so I applaud that effort. And I do understand that the document can be changed over time as it has to be individual projects determined, and with the cost estimates and everything associated with those kind of things. But again, I do hope, and I want to say that I would support the city's effort in trying to apply for this 319 grant. And since it was brought up, anything else that can be done along the lines of the plan as it sits right now, or as it could be modified, that the city would want to go ahead and make plans for doing something and funding it itself, I would certainly support that also. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. We appreciate your comments. Anyone else?
Thank you. Mayor, Board of Aldermen, Winston Brooks, Community Development Director. I just want to make an announcement about a series of public meetings that we've got coming up for our comprehensive plan. The public meetings are going to start August 23rd, and that will be at Robert E. Lee Elementary from 5 until 7:30 p.m. All the meetings will be from 5 until 7:30 p.m. August 24th, East Lincoln Elementary. August 25th, Farah Elementary, and August 26th, Bel Air Elementary. And so we're just asking for the public's input. It's very critical for this comprehensive plan, and your voice is needed. And there's also a survey that the community can take at tullahomatn.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Let me also, then, along those lines, you mentioned the 23rd of August. That would coincide with our next scheduled Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. I have elected to move that meeting to the 30th so that there are 4 members on our board who are actually in the quadrant that will be meeting on that evening. So I think it's very important that everyone be available to attend that full meeting. So we'll schedule the meeting for the 30th of August in lieu of the 23rd. So thank you, Mr. Brooks, for that. Yes?
Rosemary Crabtree, County Commissioner, District 20 on the Franklin and Moore County line. I'm so thankful that Robin sent out an email informing me of this issue. Of course, Rock Creek is in my district, as it was Blue Creek area, and I'm just very much interested in this, and I would not mind, if all goes well, supporting her on the county level with this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else?
You know, at my age, when you bend over to tie your shoe, you look at see what else you could do while you're down there. Well, since I'm here anyway, I just have a question. Tim McGehee, 506 12 Oaks. I live in the Terra Estates, and I've noticed, and it just hit me a minute ago, that more and more people are putting like couches and chairs and tables and vacuum cleaners and old shower doors and everything out at the road, and it's sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. What is the policy about that? I just wondered. I just thought of that while I was sitting there. Is that once a month they pick it up, or can they just put any kind of thing? It's just kind of, I know you got to get rid of your trash, but it's kind of junking up our neighborhood.
We'll let our Public Works Director address that issue.
We run when your garbage route is, we get 1 service per week. When your route is run, then we have 4 routes that we run.
A separate day from your regular garbage.
It'll be separate day, but it'll be that same first of the month. It would
For
be
example?
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday routes. And any of that stuff, people can also bring to Public Works. We just don't pick up whole move outs or things like that, a couch, a chair, or something like that. You know, mattresses, things like that we'll pick up. It's just total move outs we don't do.
Are there size limitations? Sorry to put you on.
No, you're fine. It just depends. And you can have a couch out there, a couch and a chair. We just kind of limit because we have to get through that whole route, and there's so many streets to run. But, you know, we try to keep it to that small amount. It's just excess stuff is what we call a junk drawer. We get a lot of people that move out and just put everything at the street. That's not what that service is for.
I have a suggestion. So that's a complaint that I get quite often, actually, when people reach out to us. And sometimes it's things that your department, like full move outs, or people just start a trash pile, and it's like everybody and their neighbor comes and just starts adding to that trash pile. But if we could maybe keep, I know that Daniel has been doing a bunch of like walk around cleaning up, and I think we're all trying to do that. If your guys see that out, if we could know about it, if there's a way to get us that information. So, I mean, I know you have enough on your plate, but that way maybe people in the administration of our city can reach out to us, and we can reach out to different resources that can go and pick up full move outs. That may want to go through it and sort through it for junk or for metal or for different things. But if we don't know it's there, then we can't do anything about it. But your guys are on the streets every day. Maybe it's something that they need to start taking notes of.
We typically do, and a lot of times, you know, if it's something we can get, we work with them, try to get. If not, you know, it is a property maintenance problem, and we do turn it into our property maintenance inspector. And he has been good about working with people, calling people, trying to help them, civic groups, church groups, trying to help people that didn't know that, found it out there, and it's got out of control. So we do try to do that on the front end as much as we can.
Thank you, Reverend McGee. Is there anything else while you're down there? Is there anyone else? If not, we'll move along to our reports from the members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I'll start with you this morning, this evening, Ms. Almacher.
Okay, let's see, where do I want to start today? He said, oh, no, it's nothing bad. I attended the city pool party yesterday to recognize all of our city employees that we have a great group and a great turnout. But I want to especially recognize today the leadership of JP Craft once again, especially Parks and Rec, because they had to continue to work on their Sunday to get that party ready and make sure that food was done. And I'd like to encourage maybe the administration to maybe do something special for that group, especially that worked on their party day. It was in recognition of them, but they had to work it. But a special shout out and thank you for doing that. Also, had the pleasure of seeing Miss Moody this morning back at work part-time, and I know that Miss Wilson is probably glad that she's coming back in some. However, I also wanted to recognize you, Miss Wilson. Thank you, everything that I've reached out to you several times, and you have been quick to get right back to me, so I really appreciate all of your efforts as our interim city administrator. Over the weekend on Saturday, that was on Sunday, on Saturday I attended the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center an appreciation for photography. That exhibit will be up all month, and that's from several local photographers in the area, and that was really cool because I have no artsy bone about me whatsoever, including taking pictures or being photogenic. So I was really appreciative of all of the talent that we have here locally. And so you guys need to go and check that out if you get a chance. Also, I'm proud to announce that in the very near future, I will no longer be homeless. So I'm going to give the city my Alderman address update. I now will reside at 372 Ledford Mill Road. My address is Normandy, believe it or not, still city limits and still in Coffee County. But if you need to get in touch with me for whatever reason, P.O. Box 836 or my phone number, everybody, 931-581-9036. I'm available. I may not do as many get out and come walk with me or chips and, coffee and conversations and all these cool things that there are other guys are doing, but I want you to know that I'm just as available to answer any questions or get back with you and reach out and see what we can get done if you're having issues in your neighborhood. I know everybody on here saw that we had a young child get taken by ambulance, maybe an accident earlier on Ovoca. Luckily that was not during a school zone time. However, I want to take this time to remind any of the citizens who are watching that schools are back in session. So those flashing lights mean something now. Even though they flashed some, during the summertime, be very mindful that we have kids walking to and from school in the city. August 6th was school board elections. Unfortunately, we had a very low turnout. 644 people out of all of Tullahoma turned out to vote for school board. Hopefully next election we can do a better job of that, but congratulations to Teresa Lawson and Andy Witt for their school board seats. And I know that we have a county commissioner in the audience, but I was actually talking to another county commissioner today, and they have been discussing, they have a board that is looking at the redistricting based on our latest census. And hopefully we're going to know in the near future, since we have 6 of those districts that actually are in Tullahoma, how that's going to affect our Tullahomians. So we'll be looking for the county's update for us on that redistricting. So just to keep everybody up to speed on that. And small business shout out before I forget. Discount Floors and More, 216 West Lincoln, owned by Mr. Brian Williams. Number is 931-636-0244. He specializes in luxury vinyl plank waterproof flooring, but he'll also have tile, hardwood, and also the waterproof system for showers. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to 12. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Berry.
Have started the, Mr. Mayor, thank you, have started the Get Walking Tullahoma. We've done a couple of those. We had to start wearing socks because I have blisters on the back of my heels. Tending to that. We'll have a walk tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. We'll start at the Rock Creek Greenway. And then another scheduled one every Thursday at 7 o'clock for now at the THS track. I'm also out there at 6:45 at the THS track, starting every day. So if anybody wants to join, I've actually enjoyed it. I'm a morning person, so I like getting out there in the mornings because I've made my bed, I've gone for my walk, I feel like I've done something for the day. So that's been going on. And also, I want to tag on to her. Sue, you've been amazing. I know that you have a lot of stuff already on your plate, but you've done an incredible job throughout this. Jordan, you've been a big help on several issues as well. I also want to commend the work that Winston and everybody have been doing on the Tullahoma 2040. The postcards, we got those in our emails today. I think that looks great. Cannot encourage people enough to get involved in this process. We talked a little bit about that today. These plans are only as good as the people who attend and show up. And it doesn't matter where you live in the city, who you are, your voice matters, especially in these issues. So if you can make it to those meetings, come out to those meetings. If you can't make it to the meetings, reach out to one of your 7 elected officials up here, and that is something that I'm extremely proud of because I've been getting to work with other local governments, and our board on the whole is probably one of the more accessible boards out there, and the work that everybody does out here I think is pretty amazing. Real quick, I meant to do this a couple weeks ago. A lot of times we get calls that are concerns. Anytime somebody calls and says, I have a comment about the police department, sometimes I shudder, not because of our police department, because they do an amazing job. I recently, about a month ago, received a call from somebody who they've had the run-ins with the police and they've had the history, but they called to say what an incredible job that our police force is doing. And they're under leadership of Chief Williams, the professionalism. They listed off a number of people that they interacted with. They said they walked into the police department upset and furious, and that it was handled extremely professional by everybody from the moment they walked into the door through the end where the police Chief Williams sat and talked to him. And so I think a lot of times your interactions are because you've gotten a speeding ticket, or so sometimes your interaction may not be great and you're in the best situation, but those are only a small portion of the interactions that our law enforcement has with people on a daily basis here in Tullahoma. This here is just my opinion. While we do have a county commissioner in the room, I do want to express my concern with the county's decision to sue one of our cities here in our county. That's troubling to me because it could very easily be the city of Tullahoma that the county decides to sue, and so that is disappointing to me as well. So get to your county meetings and reach out to your county commissioners and speak to them about those issues. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Berry. Alderman McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the TAEDC meeting this week. I know a lot of you have seen the work that's being done on Northgate Mall. We are having a new retailer coming to our city, which is exciting to have. I also want to commend Tullahoma Police Department for their back-to-school bash. The kids had a ball. I was there for a short time, but I watched the helicopter land, and the kids were able to sit inside the helicopter, and it was just neat. The kids just enjoyed that. I did receive some concerns from the residents of the Tullahoma Housing Authority, from a couple of the residents, and I want to commend Mr. Rock and LaShonda for handling those concerns very quickly. I also attended the pool party yesterday that the city gave. Thank you so much. My grandkids really enjoyed it, getting in the water. I stood just along the side of the water. I didn't get in. I would also like to congratulate my classmate, Andy Witt, for being elected to the school board, and to Teresa Lawson, also on her win to the school board. And I would just like to commend Jordan and Sue for the work that they've done in Jennifer's absence. Thank you for responding to the emails quickly and helping me with some of the concerns that I've had from the city. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Alderman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mayor. In following everybody's footsteps, I feel like we're just shouting out our city staff right now. But I want to thank JP Kraft and everyone at Parks and Rec today. Jefferson Street Park, went down there this morning, and seeing it, so today, we're starting this final process with Jefferson Street Park's basketball courts. This morning they were power washing, and I saw them pulling out like weeds that were slightly overgrowing over the space, and we are planning on filling the cracks in the concrete and resealing them this week. So put out your prayers to the weather people to, keep your rain off our city property, essentially, so that we can finish it up. But thank you so much. They were so hard at work. I know this has been a labor of love for so many of us, so that's why I'm looking directly at you, JP, right now, and just saying thank you. Also, I've had so many concerns about property maintenance to nobody's moved their cars in a while. I'm afraid they're not there anymore. So just thank you to Public Works and our police department for dealing with the many, many questions and concerns I've had from citizens, and making sure our citizens are safe and alive in their houses and all of that. So that's a depressing thing to say, but it's true. And, not all of the things that we see that our city departments do are glamorous or fun, and we know that you guys are doing some of the hardest work out there, so thank you so much. School started, so this is more of a public service announcement to all of our citizens. I am not on the school board. I am the liaison to our school board. So what that means is when I hear your concerns, I do it with a face of concern and listening to you, but not really being able to fix some of those concerns. I really recommend that you guys reach out to your school board members and to your director of schools if you have questions, and to your principals. There's a lot of things that I can do, but which class your kid's in, I cannot do anything about. So please reach out to them. They need to know that information. Oh no.
Do you have control of the dress code?
I do not have control of the dress code. Don't bring that up right now. So yes, reach out to them. Honestly, if they aren't hearing from you, they're not going to know what your concerns are. Just in the same way with us, we don't know what we don't know. I think somebody told me that in 5th grade, and it's still true. Things that have happened. So domestic violence fatality review team, we met to see how we're going to move forward. Chief Williams is thankfully going to be helping us out significantly so that we can continue moving things forward with that. And, I think one of the things we're looking at is how we can continue to look at where we can intervene in the cycle of violence that we see in communities. Partners for Healing, the ribbon cutting for that was fantastic. I'm really excited to be there for that. I know soccer season's on its way. I helped out the soccer draft, and let me tell you, we heard a lot about Johnson Lane while I was there. The pool party, thank you again for that. That was a fantastic thing. My kids and I had a blast. I had to chase them all over the place, and I went down the slide, and that was a lot of fun. So I think I was to, anyways, that I made it, I had to keep sitting up to make it keep going. So I also want to say a big thank you to our community right now. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, I'm the team captain for City of Tullahoma. We now have 8 members. I'm hoping Winston will register today. And so we can have 9. But also, I wrote a 4-part series on mental health to the Tullahoma News. And since that, we've already had another team register from that. And I'm hoping that more people will. I think it's such an important way that we can support each other to show that, you know, mental health and care and mental health illness isn't something that should be stigmatized. So, and thank you to all the community members who sent just some very amazing words, just saying that, you know, they've been there. And they just appreciated knowing they weren't alone. August 12th, in the morning, I will be having my coffee and conversations at the Celtic Cup at 8:15 to 9:15. And I think that this is going to be a weekly occurrence now, since I'm just working at the Celtic Cup half the time. So anytime 8:15 to 9:15 on Thursdays is when you can find me at the Celtic Cup. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Blackwell. Alderman Dunn.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I wanted to also thank Sue and Jordan for their help over the last few weeks. We really appreciate it. I also attended the pool party this weekend. I got to hold the baby almost the whole time, so it was awesome. I like to hold babies. It was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I want to thank Butch and Jim for their immense help with this watershed plan. You guys have done an awesome job, so thank you very much for that. And I also want to encourage our citizens, if you have not been out to see the meteor shower, it started in late July and it's going for, I think it's going to peak on August 11th. And if you've got nothing to do at 3 a.m., it is really awesome. So beautiful, beautiful. It's really fun. But that's how I've been spending my mornings. But that's all, Mary.
3 a.m.?
Well, yeah, that's when you see the cool stuff. 100 an hour, 100. So get out there. It's fun.
When I'm walking from my bedroom.
Set my clock.
Thank you.
It's in the middle of the night. It's not go.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Can you
Mayor.
top that?
I can't, which meteor showers are they listed?
Yeah, it's the one that starts with P. I can't pronounce.
Perseid?
I don't know. It's beautiful.
One of those,
It's
I
really
get
nice.
it in a multiple choice. Since our last meeting, I've had a Duck River meeting. We welcomed 2 new board members, one from Manchester and then Bob Van Patten, who's the Tullahoma representative. So they'll get to work with that. We've had plenty of rain. We're selling water. You know, we have one of the top drinking waters voted, tasting drinking waters in Kentucky, Tennessee state. So drink on. Also had a Tullahoma Utilities Authority meeting since we last met. One of the board members brought to our attention, and I'm going to go over this a little bit, the CARES Act COVID funding. Tullahoma should have access to about $4.5 million directly. This will probably be funded through the state, according to Ms. Wilson, probably come through the state somehow. So this hopefully can address capital projects and programs related to business support, tourism, and hospitality and economic development. If we can show how these local businesses were affected by COVID-19, which is the primary focus of this program. Hopefully with this money we can fund some of our capital projects in our 5-year plan. So $5.4 million is it's a lot of money. So I don't know if you guys were familiar with that, but that hopefully we can check off some of these things that we pushed down since I've been on the board. Also like to congratulate incumbent Teresa Lawson to the school board and newcomer Andy Witt. Get to work on the school board, have fun trying to figure out the dress code for high school. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes or sitting in your seat, but I'm sure y'all do a Solomon-like job at that. Ms. Wilson, I'd like to thank you for stepping in while we've had an absence of our city administrator. You've done a great job, Jason. You have done a good job as well. Also like to thank the ones that got the pool party together. I was unable to make that since I'm fair complected and burned real bad. I tried not to get outside as much as I used to, but I know a lot of people had a lot of fun there, and the city workers enjoy that immensely. And that, back to the election that we had, this off-year election, that's one of the reasons that we moved our election because of the low turnout. I have been in an off-year election and had maybe 200 more votes cast than this, even more off, just when we wrote for 2 more seats. But it's like we have 15,000 people that are registered to vote, or maybe 17 in this county, and it's more than that.
We have more than that. It's about 30.
It's Tullahoma.
just in-
Tullahoma, how many do
15.
we have
You said
registered?
county. Yeah.
Between 11 and 12.
So, we
About 30
had
county.
not even 700 people turn out to vote. So I encourage people to vote. It's just sometimes when it's not a sparkly election or a contested election, or they're not fighting for something, people have a tendency to not to get out. But I encourage people to vote. It's a right. Some places don't have that privilege. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, it's a 6% voter turnout is discouraging. I want to reiterate, for those who may be listening to our board meeting tonight, that 2 weeks from tonight, we will not be meeting in this room. We are not having the meeting on the 23rd and going to the 30th for our next board meeting, so that we can, those of us who are in the Robert E. Lee School Zone District can attend the, I think, Tullahoma 2040. So that's just another reminder for that. I did attend the Middle Tennessee Industrial Development Agency seminar in Franklin last week with Tom Robinson, listening to some things that are working for other communities and with industrial development. I am still pushing hard for industrial development in Tullahoma, and think that other people are doing it, and I ask, why can't we? So we're going to be pushing that a little harder. The TADC meeting was last Tuesday morning. I attended that with Zenobia and some new members on that board. The Development Committee meeting was last Wednesday. They meet every Wednesday. I've been attending most of them. And last week we had San Diego invited the developers to come in for coffee talk. We had a very good representation from our developer community who were in, and feedback that I've gotten offline from those who attended were very complimentary of the folks conducting that. So thank you, Ms. San Diego, for doing that for our developers. Also, a fun thing last week, I attended a retirement ceremony at the Vanderbilt Tullahoma Heart and Hospital. Ms. McGee was there. We had Pam Goodwin, who was retiring after, 41 years? 41 years that she's been a nurse there at Vanderbilt Tullahoma. An exciting thing going on in our town. We've got a new place on the National Register of Historic Places in Tullahoma. The T-201 aircraft hangar at Tullahoma Airport is now on the Tullahoma Register of Historic Places, and that'll be included in our the Tennessee Register. So that's exciting. The developer out there, Michael Williams, is reskinning that old Air Force hangar, and it's going to look like it did in 1941 or whatever that year was. So excited to see that coming online. So with that, I'd like to hear from our city attorney, Mr. Worsham.
I want to thank Sue Wilson for the wonderful job she's done while Ms. Mooney was absent. It's been a pleasure working with her. She's done a really good job, and we're glad we're going to keep her because she does other things a lot too. And so we're going to free her up a little bit of her time for those other things. We're working on the Avoca Kings Lane site work project. I have collated all of the Ds relative to that property, and we're getting them in good order, so we make sure that we get the signatures from the right people that own the property, and that we have right references to their derivations of title and that sort of thing. We'll be contacting some of the owners because we have some questions to ask them about their particular properties, but hopefully that'll be finished in the next couple of weeks. We're working with the Tennessee Tullahoma Utility Authority relative to a sewer easement that they're seeking from the city on Tullahoma High School property that Mr. Taylor, I believe, is looking at now before we actually bring them to the board for y'all to look at it at the next meeting. We have collected for the city in the last month over $100,000 in delinquent property taxes from a local business here in town that was sold at auction toward the end of June, and the new purchaser purchased that property subject to payment of the property taxes, and we've received all of those now. So that's a little bit of money for our coffers. Otherwise than that, we're working on the delinquent tax issues themselves. I'm attending a seminar in Murfreesboro on Thursday and Friday for professionals that are involved in delinquent tax collection and tax sales that we're working on. So that'll help spur along our efforts along those lines. I didn't get to the pool party yesterday. Something came up at the last minute and I missed it. It's the first one I've missed. I'm sorry I did, but I understand it was really nice. Thank you, JP, for what you did.
Thank you, Mr. Worthing.
Any questions from any of y'all? Yes?
Any update on the properties that you were looking into on Jefferson Street?
Yes. We are waiting until we have a September date before the administrative hearing officer relative to that property. In the meantime, I've talked to Ms. McGee. She knows the owner. We believe the owner is looking into whether or not it would be economically feasible for her to renovate that property. And once we get that report and we see what the administrative hearing officer is going to do about the deficiency that exists there, we will then contact the property owner if it's appropriate to see if we can work out something with her. And I appreciate Ms. McGee's help on that regard. Thank you.
While you're
Yes,
here, you
yes.
and I had kind of talked briefly in the past, and I know that we as a board can't vote on anything, but I think if we can nods of heads, if it's okay, about possibly looking at moving the sale of fireworks up a week or so to include prior to June 19th.
Well, so we would also have to move the dates that you could be able to shoot them off.
Right,
As well.
right.
That's certainly something we could look into. I don't know what the process,
Something
maybe
that-
by ordinance that we have designated the times when fireworks can be sold, but we could look into that. Be happy to
'cause
do
I think
that.
you and I had talked, and I
Right,
think you
yeah.
said the board was interested in that.
Moving it up like in the forward direction or in the,
Forward to include it, so you can buy them and set them off prior in time for June.
I would not be in approval of that, personally.
I wouldn't either.
No.
So all I hear is the not wanting it as much. Or I'd at least need to think about it more than right now.
Yeah. All right, well, that's, I guess, what we were looking.
Okay.
I figured with it being a federal holiday now.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Worthing.
Oh,
Thank you.
We
okay.
could look at including that into the
That makes more sense.
freedom celebration.
Okay, we'd like to hear from our interim city administrator, Ms. Wilson.
First, I'd like to thank
Use your
the,
microphone, Ms. Wilson.
Oh, can't hear me. I'd like to thank the board and all the staff, department heads, for your support and your patience during this interim situation. And I'm delighted to have Ms. Moody back today and going forward. So everybody's in capable hands and we'll be moving a lot faster. Secondly, the pool party, I'd like to reiterate JP and staff, and also Costa Bryce and Lisa Shepherd, HR. A lot of work went into that, and it was a lot of fun as usual, but I know it may not be quite as much fun when you're having to do the work. Thank you. And then, as Steve mentioned, I'd like to thank him and Rosemary Golden for the work they did on the property taxes, because they brought in over $100,000 in delinquent taxes through the work that they did on a couple of these projects. So that's pretty significant. And then lastly, I'd just like to say on the watershed plan that's on the agenda tonight, Alderman Dunn did a lot of work on the partnership on that and bringing in the Tennessee Environmental Council, who would be willing to help us to write a grant. and who talked about how if we do a grant and we do match, we can actually use labor. We can actually use in-kind labor and volunteer hours as part of our match too. So it's an exciting opportunity. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, we'll go into the consent agenda. I will remind you that all matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. During the portion of the meeting reserved for comments from citizens shown on the agenda, citizens may request that the board remove an item from the, so that it can be discussed as a separate item. So with that, I will read the caption for the consent agenda. Item number 21104 is the minutes from our July 26th regular meeting and public hearings. Item 21105, accept the mayor's appointment of Ms. Kathy Connolly to an unexpired term expiring on August 10th, 2022 on the city's tree board. I will make a comment, received a citizen participation form from Ms. Connolly, and on one of the questions is, why would you like to serve on this board? Ms. Connolly was very direct. She said, I like trees. That got her on that board. Item number 21106. By the way, she was not able to be here tonight, or I'd have kind of poked a little fun at her for that, but she'll be with us another day. Okay, the 21106 is request to approve an amended memorandum of understanding between the Coffee County Emergency Medical Service and Tullahoma Fire Department, allowing the Tullahoma Fire Department personnel to operate at their certification level. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Dunn and seconded by Berry.
Blackwell and Berry.
Blackwell and Berry. Dunn and Berry. All in favor vote green, red vote no.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0. Under old business, we have about 5-6 ordinances that we just voted this evening. Ordinance number 1560, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone approximately 2.27 acres of parcel located at 206 West Hogan Street from low-density residential C3 to neighborhood commercial district. It's from R1, low-density residential, to neighborhood commercial district C2, and it's on the second reading. This is a building that has been actually in use in a commercial environment for as long as I can recall. And we've approved this on the second meeting, so do I hear a motion to approve this on the second reading?
Move to approve. Second.
Second, done by Berry, seconded by McGee. Any discussion? Green for yes, red for no.
It is C3, right? From R1 to C3.
R1 to C3.
Okay.
Correct.
So, okay.
That ordinance passes 7-0. Ordinance number 1562, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of Tullahoma, Tennessee as set forth in Tullahoma Municipal Code ordinance number 1392 to rezone approximately 1.06 acres parcel located at 38574 New Manchester Highway from C2 General Commercial District to R1 Low Density Residential. That's the passage on the second and final reading.
Second.
Motion Berry, seconded by Blackwell. Any discussion? Green for yes, red for no.
Alderman Almacher? Nope. Nope, still didn't show up. Hold on one second. Wait. Okay. All right, everybody redo it. There we go. I saw it that time. Thank you.
Ordinance is approved 7-0. Ordinance number 1563. Ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, which is ordinance number 1392 by amending Article 2 definitions and articles specified in the district regulations for storage warehouse units. It's on the second final reading as well. We've had this discussion. This was outlines the fact that we did not have a zone for commercial warehouse, self-storage warehouses. We do now have ordinances allowing them in C2 and in I1. So this is for approval on second reading. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Dunn,
Second.
favor Barry, seconded by Alderman Blanks, Mayor Pro Tem Blanks. Yes for green for yes, red for no.
Alderman Almacher.
Y'all, I'm pushing it.
You're
Like,
watching
I
it,
did
okay.
it 10 times that time.
See, it's not showing up. You must have a
Just
loose
hold it.
wire.
Yeah, hold your hand up.
Or just hold the button down.
Oh my gosh, you
Okay,
should do like thumbs up or thumbs down.
Everybody?
Everybody vote again, and, yeah, I'm not seeing you, so.
See if it doesn't know.
Should we do it verbally?
It still didn't.
But you did it? Okay.
Ordinance approved 7-0.
Sorry.
Technical difficulty.
Ordinance number 1564, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, City of Tullahoma, which is ordinance number 1392 by amending Article 2 of definitions. These are the regulations that have been implemented by our planning codes and city planner to account for the changes in the organizational structure that we have approved on passage on second. We're looking at passages on the second reading. Is there any discussion on that? We'll get a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Blackwell.
Second.
Seconded by McGee. Any discussion on that? Green for yes, red for no.
It doesn't show up, so yes or no. All right.
Ordinance is approved 7-0.
Wow.
Ordinance number 1565.
Work order.
An ordinance of the City of Tullahoma to amend an ordinance 1540 adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st and ending on June the 30th, 2021. Passes on the second reading. Get a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Blackwell, seconded by Berry. In discussion. Red for yes, green for yes, and red for no.
It showed up that time.
Oh, I have to, okay.
It's loose wire, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We got it, 7-0.
Is that what it is?
Hearing no other old business, we'll go into new business. New business, ordinance number 1566, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the City of Tullahoma set forth in ordinance of a municipal code, which is ordinance number 1392 to rezone approximately .46 acre parcel located at 200 South Anderson Street from C2 General Commercial District to C3 Commercial Neighborhood District. This has been before us. This will allow a person to add a carport onto his house in that district. So get a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Blank, seconded by Blackwell. Any question? Any discussion? Green for yes, red for no.
It showed up.
7-0, motion's approved. Now we have a resolution. A resolution authorizing the City of Tullahoma to participate in a Safety Partners Matching Grant. That's described on page 140 for handout. Get a motion to approve that resolution.
Move to approve.
Barry Blackwell, seconded by Barry. In discussion. Green for approve, red for no.
Okay.
No, you don't.
It's working, 7-0.
I'll do general next time.
Item number 21107, a request to approve the Rock Creek Watershed-based plan that we heard from earlier this evening. And I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion from Dunn, seconded by Blackwell.
Opposite way.
We got it. Any discussion? Green for yes, red for no.
It worked though.
That's approved, 7-0. Another item, a request to approve, this is 210108, request to approve and award a bid submitted by Barrett Construction and Renovation LLC to build a bathroom addition at Fire Hall Number 2. Those are presented in page 156 of your handout. Get a motion?
Move to approve.
Blackwell, seconded by Barry.
I have discussion on this. Yeah.
Discussion, go ahead.
I have a question. We put this out for bid, right?
Yes.
This was not the same company that did the animal shelter.
No.
Okay.
Friendly.
Oh, no, we did it again. There, fixed it.
Okay.
Any
No
further
questions?
discussion?
Yes. Okay, just, I want to get this out in the open because our citizens may know. So this has already been pre-budgeted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we put this out to bid, but this was the only contractor that actually submitted a bid,
That's
correct?
Right.
And then we actually reached out and solicited other bids? Isn't that what that says? We actually solicited?
We sent other requests out. This is
We
the only
sent
one that
other requests.
responded.
Okay, but nobody responded. How long was this open? I mean, when did we solicit the bids versus when was the deadline?
Well, it's got it here, we advertised it June 20th, and the bid opening was July 7th, and I believe there was a pre-bid conference even where they invited the contractors to come in and meet and go over it. And Barrett was the only one who actually attended that meeting too. And then he was also the only one who submitted the bid.
But there was only about a couple of weeks period that this was open.
Yeah. I believe so.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the amount and the fact that we only have one bid. I'm just going to go on record as saying that. I support the project, want it to get done. I just feel like we need to have a more competitive market to get the best bang for our buck. I understand that we have solicited it. I think that maybe a 2-week period was not long enough for people to get their bids in. So that's.
Did you
where
have
I'm
some pushback from somebody specifically?
Just the amount, the 172,000 is the only pushback that I've received.
So you didn't hear like I didn't get my bid in time kind of
The
thing?
problem is right now that everybody
can't
is so
get people.
busy that they don't have time to.
And that very well may be it. I just hope that everybody's not so busy that, oh, I would have bid that, but they only had a 14-day window.
I think everybody's so busy because they don't have enough labor right now. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm putting things out to bid. I'm getting responses from only the ones that can actually do anything. Not for this stuff, but for life in general. So there's a labor shortage. People can't bid on things they normally would, is what I'm saying.
We understand that everyone has the same amount of time. So
Yes.
everybody has the same amount of time. Everyone has the same.
My concern
That was
would
one
be
thing
if we
we all
don't go with what we've got now and we put it back out, prices are going up so fast that we'll be wind up paying a whole lot more than we are this time.
Any further discussion? No further discussion, vote green for yes, red for no. Motion passes 7-0. There being no other new business, we will adjourn this Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting and we'll go into the Beer Board. I'll call the Beer Board to order. Are there any public comments for the board, for the Beer Board? No public comments. We'll go to the consent agenda. Consent agenda is item number 21, BB 26, minutes of July 26 Beer Board meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Blackwell, Blanks, seconded by Blackwell. Any discussion on the consent agenda for the Beer Board? Hearing none, vote green for yes, red for no. Motion passes 7-0. There being no other old business and there being no other new business, the Beer Board will be adjourned and we'll see everyone back in this room on August 30th.
No.
Everyone have a good evening.